So I know it is Saturday, it's not Friday, so I wanted to give you a little taste of what happened this week and talk about my Friday night and chat with Andi. So this week I got to go to what we were calling a water market sector meeting, and basically it was where we got all of the leadership within this region, which in my company consists of Texas and Oklahoma. And so we got all the salespeople, the operations people, and the technology people, solutions and technology, into a room to talk about where is the market going, where do we need to do strategic things like hire specific people, or we can start talking about what we think, where we think the market is going to go, and what conferences we need to be at. And it starts out with this, what we call a SWOT analysis, which I meant to look up what the T stood for. Basically, SWOT, S is for strengths, W is for weaknesses, O for opportunities. So you start out talking about your strengths, and for the SWOT analysis, it's not just what do we do well as a company, it's what do we do that's better than everybody else in the market. So what makes us stand apart, which is like kind of empowering to talk about all our strengths and what we can do well. And some of it we were struggling with because we were like, well, we do this really well. We have great drainage engineers. But it was also like, well, other companies also have some great drainage engineers. So maybe that's not unique just to us, and is an opportunity for us to grow by acquiring a company that does that really well, or by hiring people that do that really well and bringing them over to Jacobs. So that was the strengths. Then we go over the weaknesses, and everyone's like, the mood definitely shifts. You can see it shifts within the room. We start talking about like the processes that we need to fix that don't work well, or talking about a lot of it is like tools and processes, and some of it is culture based on specific people. Like if there's a manager that's just not doing what is right for the vision of the company, if he's like too, or she, in this case it's he, I think, is too interested in like billability and their personal numbers, but not forward looking and having a vision for the future, like that is a weakness and something we need to fix. So then we go over opportunities, and we create action items and things for specific people to follow up on. Some of it was we needed to open up some more requisitions, so what we call recs, so job postings. So Jennifer actually posted a job posting while we were sitting in the room. And so there's a lot of that, like, we need to be better at workload managing between all of our people, and our people have a lot of work, so let's open up some more job postings. So we did that this week, so you can check it out online. I've actually been checking out some of the job postings today online for some of the international positions that I'm interested in, because it's not looking so good for my the Jacobs Go that I had applied to for the international positions. I think they pulled all the Australia ones, or they didn't actually pull them, they gave them to new hires and they just left them in the system, so I didn't even get a rejection or anything. So I'm not quite sure that that's what they did, but I'm waiting on an email back on Monday to see where those sit. So I was looking at some job postings today. The other thing I've been doing today is troubleshooting my air conditioning, which the fan turns on, but it doesn't get cold in here. And last week, already, early April, it was 93 degrees, 92 degrees on a couple of the days, which is really hot. And so it was hotter in my house than it was outside. So I turned on the air conditioning for a few hours, and it was still, within those few hours, the temperature had dropped 20 degrees outside, and it was still the same temperature and hot in my house with the air on. So it's broken. And so I've been calling my dad, and he's been walking me through, okay, when you turn this on, did the compressor turn on? Did this turn on? We went through like the mechanics, mostly because I was interested in it, of how water goes in through the condenser and the evaporator, and we talked about the little valve. What are you calling it? I forget. It's in my Instagram stories if you would check it out. So I was like running up to the roof to take a look at the air conditioning, then running down to like change a setting, and then running back up to the roof, and then checking in the crawl space. There's that's where the fan that's on the inside and the drain pan and all of that is in the crawl space. And so Shun, my neighbor, had said, hey, make sure that your drainage pan is not full. And what I had done a couple years ago, messed up, was I hadn't been putting bleach in my condensate line, and it had started growing and blocked the condensate drainage path, and so the pan had filled up, and it flipped the float switch and turned off the AC. So that's what I had done a few years ago, and I wanted to make sure I didn't do it again. I put bleach in. I was probably a year behind on doing that. So I checked that out, and it's kind of cool to see the little floater switch. So this one's one that whenever the water fills up in the pan, it flips the switch up, and it won't let the air continue to run, because it doesn't want that pan to overflow, like right above the kitchen. That would not be good, which is different from the floater switch that we spec when we put in tanks that are little floatable bulbs. And so when your tank level is going down, when it gets down below the little float, the float thing will pop up. Oh no, the float thing is always up. When the water level gets down below the float, it'll sink. It'll just flip down because it doesn't have it's inflatable. It doesn't have any buoyancy pressure to push it up, and so it'll sink down. And it'll flip the switch, and what we use them for is we'll have them in a tank, and if the top one flips, it'll have an alarm in the system like low level water, and then the next one, or high level water, and then the next one goes down, it's a low level switch, and so then that'll flip, and so then you'll be sitting there in the command center and you'll see something come up that says low water level, and then you'll know because that switch flipped. So anyway, the pump for the condenser is fine. The fan inside is fine. The fan outside is fine. It's kind of squeaky and it doesn't run great, but it's fine. It's working. The compressor upstairs is working, so I think it might be a coolant leak. But it was kind of fun, posting things on my Instagram about it, and the people that were really excited and texting me were all the robotics club people, which, yeah, I have a lot of engineering friends, and it was the ones that are not quite in engineering, but more adjacent STEM fields that got really excited. I think my dad was really excited about it too. Calling me back, asked me how it was going. So it's we also got to talk about our taxes for a bit because it's tax day on Monday, and I itemized a bunch. He took the standard deduction, which is interesting. It's probably the first year he's been able to do that. So we talked about the new tax code and the new standard deduction and what we did and all the different forms that I filled out, which I have emailed to him, but he probably doesn't check his email that much. Yeah, so that was my Saturday. My Friday last night, I was just going to chill, take it easy, do a half day. I ended up with computer problems. My computer thinks it's online, or thinks it's not online, but loads web pages, but it doesn't load anything related to Jacobs, like being able to get me on the server, being able to check my email, or get on Skype, and so this has been just a little ongoing problem. So they gave me a loaner laptop, and Friday I went in to try to get my laptop, and they were like, we're going to give you a new laptop, we don't know what's wrong with it. So I've stumped all of the Jacobs IT guys, which is fun to do. No, it's not fun. I was much less productive this week that I didn't have the right tools that I needed to do some things that I could have probably done really fast. I just need the right tools. So I spent Friday in the office, working a little bit in the office and waiting for my new computer to get all the stuff put on it, which it's only got about half the stuff, so I have to go in again next week. And then I came home, and the geotechs told our client, hey, we really think that you guys should be asking for this summary of information. We're going to put it together in a deliverable for you guys, and we'll get it to you on Monday. That was last Monday. Then on Monday, they're like, we're going to add all this other stuff. We'll probably get it Wednesday or Thursday, but most likely Friday. And so we've been having daily meetings with them. We're like, you guys just promised something to the client on Friday. You better have it Friday. And they were saying, oh, we should go through all these other reviews. And we're like, no, you promised something to the client on Friday. You can send it to them as draft and then do the reviews. What is the cat? Oh, I was pressing some tofu. It probably just fell over. I wonder if the cat pushed it over. She's surprisingly not here. Kitty? So anyway, the geotechs have apparently been working on this. We've been asking them in our daily meetings, how's it coming? What are the different pieces? Who's got the different pieces? Friday morning, they said, hey, we hadn't done anything since our meeting yesterday at 5 p.m. It was like 9:30 a.m. I was like, all right, I'll get off the phone and let you guys get back to work on this. And they're like, okay, we're gonna send it to you, and then you should probably forward it out to the client. And I was like, okay, that's fine with me. I can do that. Hey, Kat, what are you getting into? So Friday night, I'm at home with like a glass of whiskey. Hey, kitty, what's going on? And I log in to see if I can forward that to them, to the client, and I get an IM like, hey, where's this piece that you're going to do on all the monitoring stuff? I was like, what? What? No, I haven't been doing it. I've been doing other stuff today. So then he called one of the other geotechs like, hey, am I taking crazy pills? This isn't done. And then I think they realized they hadn't actually asked me to do it. They thought I was doing, and I thought they were all doing it and coordinating between all the different people, and apparently they weren't. So 7 p.m. on Friday night, it was me and the PM and our senior retired geotech, who's the one that this was his idea, and our dams lead, who's another senior geotech, working on Friday night. It's like, guys, this is not how I want to spend my Friday night. So we got it done in a couple of hours. It wasn't quite as, we weren't missing quite as much stuff as he made it seem when he IM'd me. He just didn't communicate what he needed well, and also was very confused if he thought that I was doing it. Also, it should have been done by the guy who's in the field and is a little bit closer to it, but that would have needed to have been coordinated by these geotechs, and they apparently weren't coordinating it. So yeah, that was a fun little fire drill that we did on Friday night. So hope not to do that one again. They like to call those things lessons learned in the industry. So lessons learned. Don't trust the geotechs ever. Anyway, that was my week. I will see you guys next week, hopefully with a working air conditioning.